Hello, friends of the internet. My name is Q-Ball, and today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Creed 2. Let's go. So for those of you who don't know, Creed 2 is a boxing movie sequel set within the Rocky universe, and it is sweet. It does an amazing job of mixing in a new identity from Adonis Creed, as well as keeping true to the inspirational Rocky films that came before, a lot like the first Creed movie. The training montages are obviously there, and they're still as cliche as ever, but they're done so well that they still invoke such emotion into the audience.
You know, if you get knocked out, you're gonna lose the fight, so don't do that. Do all the push-ups, every single one of them.
Rocky, how does that even help at all?
Sting like a biscuit? Cause then there'll be gravy.
What? Plus, there is those intro to the fight scenes with the fighters coming out, and I have never been so hyped in a movie theater.
It been a day for me. Yeah.
So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail now, so spoiler warning for the rest of the video. I really like the conflicts all of the protagonists are going through outside of the boxing ring. Adonis and Bianca are trying to start a family, and when it's discovered that Bianca's pregnant, they have that worry that the kid's going to have the lack of hearing that Bianca has, and I think it's handled in such a raw and real way that shows that people can be afraid of what might come for their children in terms of disabilities, even though they've already previously had them, and then be able to overcome that fear though and still know that, hey, I made it through that, my kid's gonna make it through that. And so I think it's just a good image for disabled parenting. Adonis has his own issues specifically pertaining to the boxing world. Like in the first movie, he was always kind of seen as you wouldn't be anything unless you had the name Creed, and so that name was always hurt him because it meant that he couldn't become his own person. And now that he's finally made it, everyone's still saying, oh, and he's always being trained by Rocky, so he's seen in Rocky's shadow, and it makes the decisions that he makes later for leaving Rocky and Philly and moving out to LA so much more real and impactful to the audience, because there's a line of thinking that just makes sense for the character, and it's really well done. Plus Rocky has his own conflicts, like the duality between him not knowing his kids well enough and then seeing Adonis almost like a son, and knowing that he loves him, and having that issue of, hey, he thinks he's a failed father figure, but he's done so well with Adonis. And it makes it, when he sees his children towards the end of the movie, it's tragic and heartwarming, and I think it's really, really well done.
So, I know it's been a while, but I'm here to see you, Adrian, because I want to reconnect, and I haven't seen you in a while, Adrian.
Rock, you know everyone's name's not Adrian, right?
What do you mean, Adrian?
So one fault that I did have in the movie is the antagonist, the Dragos. I didn't get as much details fleshed out about them as I would have liked. I love that Victor Drago's character got angry towards the Russian government because they abandoned his father just because he lost, even though they brought them so much pride. I just wish there was more of that, and I think the filmmakers' hands were tied because they still had to keep the Drago's image from Rocky IV, which was effectively, you're an evil Russian machine. But then they wanted to introduce, a modern view on it with a little bit more humanity to it, but somehow to balance those two. And I think that's where it just was a little disappointing. Good to see the small steps, but I would have liked more. Plus, I think Adonis and Victor should have interacted more outside of the ring, and I just would have liked to see what is their relationship like, both people who are tied to the legacies of their fathers. So overall, I think this film is great. I absolutely adore the first one. I think this is a great continuation. I highly recommend that you guys go out and see it. My final verdict is that I give it a 8 out of 10.
Adrian?